Hey guys, how's it going? I'm at Planet Fitness now and my car is dead. Man, I did like 2 hours exercise, sweaty, ready to go home, got in my car, ready to turn that on. And guess what? I get nothing. My car's not cranking. Funny thing is, everything's working. The lights are working. Got my radio working. Got my fan and my radiator working. Like, all that stuff is working. But I can't seem to turn my car on. Now, I gotta say, I had some issues with starting problems for the last couple months. Like, I guess like once a month I'd be trying to turn my car on and I'd have to crank it a couple of times just to get my car to turn on. But, after like 3 or 4 different tries, it actually always did turn on and cranked over. I mean, I've noticed that, as more time passes, I've actually had to continue to just lately it's taking a lot more tries to get my car to turn on. Today, nothing. I changed the battery like recently, like within like the last month and a half, thinking that could be the cause of it. And apparently it's not the battery. So anyway, after that happened, I was like, okay, let me see if I left my lights on. I mean, I was only there for like 2 hours. Maybe if I left my lights on, maybe that could be the cause of it. So I went out, checked the lights, and the lights were bright. Normally what happens is if it's like a battery that's weak or whatever, you go out and the lights would be kind of weak or dim. The batteries are not weak or dim. I mean, I looked at it and it was very, very bright. So I was thinking maybe it's not the battery. Maybe it's not the battery. But I was like, I wasn't 100% sure on it. I really wasn't 100% sure on it. So I was like, let me try to get a jump. And luckily, I asked around a couple of people who were parking, and they were nice enough to help me out with a jump. So I put the cables onto the battery, and I tried it immediately. That didn't do anything, but I waited for like a couple minutes, hoping that it would charge up my battery to just crank it up, hoping that was the issue, it was a defective battery. But nothing happened after that. I tried turning it on and nothing happened. Just got the same thing. And got that click. Guys, know that starter click? It just sounds like a click. Sound like a click. So I'm like, it sounded like a click. So I'm like, okay, definitely at that point, it's not a battery issue. My battery is fine, because working off somebody else's battery, my car should turn on if it's a battery issue. All right. So figure it wasn't the battery. Battery's fine. It's good. I've had it for like a month and a half. It's brand new. Sometimes they're defective or whatever, but that's not the case here. So I'm like, what else could it be? Let's go to what it could be, the next step, which is that maybe it's the alternator. So I'm like, it could be the alternator, but no, it couldn't be the alternator, because my car wasn't on. I didn't need my car on. My car wasn't on. My engine wasn't running. So normally the alternator goes out while your engine is running, because it's not charging up the battery, and This is not charging the battery. Your car's running on the battery until it just finally dies out. I mean, there's a rare occurrence where my car was running on a dead battery up until the point I parked it, and then turned off, and then it was very weak, and then I spent 2 hours in the gym, came back, tried to turn it on, and the battery's 100% dead. But that's not the case. That's not the case because if it was the alternator, once I put cables onto the battery from another car, the car should crank up. We crank or whatever, I would still hear a crank, and we should crank up. And then once you take the cables off, it would just die out because it's getting all the power from the battery from the other car. But that's not the case here because I put the cables on the battery and nothing happened. So I could rule out the alternator, rule out the battery, rule out the alternator. So what else could it be? Well, next thing up could be fuses, could be a relay. Well, let's do the relay. So I was thinking, well, it could be the relay. It could be the starter relay. I know it's not the fuel pump relay, because if it's just the fuel pump relay, this car would actually crank. It just wouldn't crank over. So I could rule out the fuel pump relay. It could be it could be the relay to the computer also, but I'm not even gonna go there. The fuel pump starter. Let's the work of the starter relay. Is it the starter relay? So the relay actually does what it does. It relays electricity when you try to turn on to the starter, and I hear clicks. I hear clicks every time I try to start up, and that tells me that it's not. That tells me that it is not the relay that's causing it, because if it was a relay that was causing it, I wouldn't hear clicking. I wouldn't hear click every time I try to, because what happens is that's the solenoid you're hearing clicking, but the starter motor is not engaging. So I hear click, but okay. So moving on from that. I'm not 100% sure of it. Not 100% sure of that, but let's move on. Fuses. It could be a fuse, but generally the 2 times that I've had issues with a fuse blown out and a no start issue, I've had this maybe twice since I've ever owned a car. So the first one was, the car cranked up, but it wouldn't turn over, and I went through trying to figure out what that was, but it became it was a fuse that was causing it. That's what was causing it. The car cranked, but it wouldn't turn over. And as far as trying to figure out what's causing it, could be a whole bunch of other things causing it. Fuel pump, most likely a fuel pump, but it wasn't the fuel pump. Once I did a little fuse test to see which was good and which was bad, found out the bad fuse, popped it out, popped another fuse in, and it cranked over without a problem every single time. But that's not the situation here, because there's no crank at all. So that's not the situation here. The other time that I had a problem with fuse that caused a no start situation was no power to the car at all. I tried starting the car up, no power. It was as if somebody took the cables off the battery. Absolutely 100% dead. And it turned out, it was an Acura. It turned out to be a main fuse that connected the battery to the fuse box, and that was blown, which pretty much cut off all the power to the car. But that's not the situation here. It's not the situation here because I got everything still working. The lights work. You know, everything on the dash looks good. Everything on the dash looks good. Everything looks good. You know, so that's not the problem here. Okay, it's not the two cases of the fuses blowing that could have caused this. I mean, it could be, you know, something else with the fuses, another fuse that's blown, but I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case with this car, and not that I could actually test it out 100%, but I mean, just hypothetically speaking, I don't think the fuse is the cause of it. So if it's not any of those causes, I'm gonna guess that it's my starter. It's not starting, it's not cranking. I'm not hearing anything from the starter cranking. So I'm like, I mean, there's a couple ways I could test it. I could, you know, try to bump the starter. Well, that's not actually testing it. That's just hoping that it has one crank left to crank it up. You know, hitting the starter and stuff like that. I mean, that could work, but I'm not going to do it because I don't have a long enough crowbar, and I got to find out where the starter is on this car. Sometimes it's really not, you know, it's really not, you know, in a place where I could actually bump it. I mean, I could put a wire to it and then try to start it up, see if there's a test. I'm not going to do that right now because I don't have the tools to do it. But at this point, I'm going to assume it's a starter. And the reason why I didn't go there to begin with, I didn't assume it was a starter to begin with, is because I changed the starter out 8 months ago on this car. Changed it out 8 months ago on this car. What are the chances that 8 months later I maybe put in maybe I don't know, 8,000 miles on this car within 8 months? And what are the chances that it is, you know, that's the problem? Because I didn't, you know, you put a new starter, you're hoping you get maybe over 100,000 miles on the starter itself. But the starter I bought was a rebuilt starter. I've had issues with rebuilt stuff before. I bought a rebuilt alternator from AutoZone before, and that thing lasted me like 6 months before my car was having issues. I know somebody who bought a rebuilt alternator, and the guy immediately started having issues once he popped it in because it wasn't charging the battery right. So at this point, I'm thinking it's the starter. I'm waiting for AAA to pick my car up, going through all those steps of trying to figure out what it is. Now, I can't really say 100% for sure because I'm not actually out there testing it, but just from deductive reasoning on my part, I'm going to say it's the starter. And it kind of sucks that it's the starter because now I'm going to have to put some time in, you know, with this issue, and I've already put in maybe 45 minutes already. I'm waiting for an hour for AAA to come and get my car, and on top of that, I'm gonna have to either spend some time myself to put it in or pay somebody some money to put it in again. And that starter is warranted for I don't know what, a year or whatever, but it's warranted, and it kind of sucks because it's not actually the warranty that's the issue. It's putting the amount of time in to get the starter, paying somebody to put in the starter. You know, I gotta pay again to have that done, or spend some more time to do it myself. It's really a pain. It's really a pain in the butt, and I really do not want to do it. Last time I paid somebody to do it, I'm going to see if I could probably do it myself because I don't want to spend that extra money. It kind of sucks. But it is what it is. I mean, right now, I'm thinking it's the starter. I was hoping maybe it would have been something simple. Would have been great if it was something simple. I'm sweating. Just did 2 hours, I'm sweating, and all right, guys, I'm just babbling on right now. I'm hoping AAA just comes, stops by to tow my car really within the next 30 minutes. But I know I'm gonna wait an hour for them to get here. But I'm gonna keep you guys updated. All right, guys. All right, guys. So yeah, got that starter put in. It was a starter. And that actually just sucks. It was the starter that was causing it. Oh man. So I had to pay somebody to do it. Sucks. You know, I'm like within a year, within 8 months now, I had the starter put in twice. And this stuff shouldn't happen, but if you guys know anything about, you guys know anything at all about rebuild stuff, you know, rebuild stuff, they only rebuild like a part of the stuff, part of it. Like the part that's broken is the part they rebuild, and all the other components on the you know, on the starter, alternator, whatever is being rebuilt, that's got the same mileage that it had on there originally. So, I mean, I did not want to buy a brand new starter because, you know, they're like twice as much, like $300 versus $150. You know, we had warranty on it, so I got the starter anyway, warranted. You know, it's still warranted, but still, I didn't want to pay any more than I need to. Already complained to them about it, but you know, they're not going to give me money to get it redone. So, but that's just what it is. That's probably why it's warranted to begin with. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video, or I hope it has helped you out. Please give me a thumbs up. If you guys got any comment, please comment, and please subscribe, guys. All right, take care.